Hello and welcome to today's video, and we're going to be taking another look at the Panasonic NV7200. Now this has really caused me quite a big headache trying to work out exactly where the problems lie with it. It is a lot more complicated inside than the comparable era JVCs that I have, and there does seem to be a lot of extra circuitry carrying out functions which would just be carried out by sort of a couple of components within the JVC. So after some advice I thought, do you know what, I will focus on the capacitors around the colour processing section. So what I wanted to do first was to actually get this board out of the way, and as you can see what I did was I just grabbed some photos of all of those connectors, and then I was able to remove the entire board completely. There is right down the bottom there a little connector. That's the it's a 2-pin connector with a red and a black cable, and that is a main DC 12 volt connector. You can see it hanging off the end there. Now if you get those two leads mixed up, as I did, you will blow a fuse, I think it's fuse 04 on the power regulator board. So you may find that you suddenly have absolutely no deck functions whatsoever. The clock will still work, but you'll actually have no deck functions whatsoever, and it will be because of that fuse. Now in this particular phase I was having a look at the circuit diagram and sort of trying to work out which capacitors sit around which of the colour processing sections. And what I actually started to do, and I replaced quite a large number of the capacitors on the main chrominance and luminance board. Now a lot of them I measured on the ESR meter, and they did actually come up as quite high in ESR resistance, so there was definitely problems with a lot of the capacitors that I replaced. Some of them had legs which were sort of almost completely corroded, other ones looked pretty ropey, to be honest with you. Now I put all of the capacitors back in, replaced with new capacitors, and put the board back into operation, and it still didn't fix the issue. I still had absolutely no colour. So the next thing I tried was I actually took the complete spare board that I took out of a another NV7200 back in 1993. Put a couple of components onto that board, such as a delay line, which I pulled off in a fit of youthful exuberance and curiosity, and replaced a couple of other components that I had borrowed from the board over the years, well actually over the duration of this particular project. Now I put that board back into operation, and because I had got the two 12 volt terminals missoldered, so soldered into the wrong polarity, that was when I ended up blowing the fuse. Now I didn't realise that at the time. I thought there was a much larger scale problem, so I put the original board back in and abandoned the project at that point. The next time that I came to this, what I did was I took the board that I had from the original 1993 machine, both that and the servo board, and because I've never, as far as I know, touched any of the presets, I set all of the presets on both boards to effectively be at factory settings. So everything was set to, yeah, basically set to factory settings. Still no colour picture, still everything in black and white. Now that leads me on to thinking, what am I going to do next? There is a couple of other ICs which gave trouble when these machines were current. It was quite rare that they would give trouble, but not unheard of. So I'm certainly going to try and replace a couple of the colour processing ICs, IC sort of colour decoders, etc., and see if that makes a difference. But I'm fast running out of options for this one. I'm honestly not sure. I mean, you know, I could just carry on replacing components, but without an oscilloscope it's making troubleshooting very, very difficult. I can do the basics, such as checking capacitors, as I'm doing here, but when it comes to the point of actually trying to really sort of troubleshoot issues and go by the circuit diagrams and service manuals which I've got downloaded, it's a lot of them require the use of a scope and the sort of probing the various test points to have a look at the sort of various signals which are coming off of those sort of particular test points, which is not something I'm currently able to do with the equipment that I've got. I do have an oscilloscope, but I think it's unfortunately too old to sort of work with precision equipment like this. It's sort of more of a sort of quite basic oscilloscope, to be honest. It's a nice old thing, but certainly not correct for this sort of kind of business that I'm trying to do here. So this project is being parked, and once we have moved house, I'll probably invest in an oscilloscope, and we'll certainly give it another attack and another go, either sort of later this year or early next year. Bit of a downer, but these things can't be helped. These things sort of are sent to try us. But anyway, if you found this interesting, I've got the longer video as well, feel free to have a look. But I will see you soon, and take care.